right, everyone, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us to the close here for the Monday market session. And it looks like we've got what we expected, bullish action across the board coming into the close. Of course, the market gapping up through the futures, which was to be expected to some degree. And then, of course, a movement up here. Now, let's take a look at all of the facts and all of the things that we're seeing. It is a pretty good day, and I'm glad the market has recovered so far. Let's have a look at the weekly to start off with, just get a bit of an idea of what we're coming off. How are you all going today? You guys feeling bullish? You feeling bearish for the next session? Let us know. What do you think? Tuesday, what's it going to be? Down or up? Let us know. Bull or bear? Throw it through. Raman says Tesla, Nvidia, AMD analysis. Don't worry, Raman. We'll be doing all of those. We'll certainly be talking about all of these types of positions. So we've got the weekly 20 moving average. Now, we know that's one of the key areas that's been found throughout the pandemic lows all the way through the rally. And we are also in the time of year that tends to be relatively more happy. The Santa rally, the 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 kind of thing that goes on. So this is what we expected. We expected some kind of bull. Has it bulled enough? Let's go into the daily and have a look. So here's our daily. Here's kind of the level that we were talking about where we expected the closure to occur. You'll notice it's coming down slightly near the end here, just to kind of try to stay underneath. And this is what usually happens. The market likes to close right on the level that's super annoying, so that you sometimes see confirmation, you sometimes don't. We've got that resistance, a little bit of a wick. And then, of course, we've got the bodies around here. So this is where we expected the market to try to show us that it wanted to go higher. We've got that downward trend that comes through those previous peaks. Let's make sure we've got that absolutely correct. So we'll just get that up there. And is it enough? Well, I think for a lot of people, the price action down here showed, I believe anyway, on Friday evening that Wall Street had pushed it down to a level that looked pretty good for them. And the reason why I say that so significantly is because when you're over here on the left-hand side, what happens? Well, it comes down and it bounces off and engulfs, but you know it's 4,500. You know there's puts all over this area. You also know at this time that it's an important zone based on the left-hand side, based on the psychology. But when you see Friday session, it wicks earlier, it wicks again, and it hammers off the bottom. And that, I think, was significant in terms of the way it traded. Is this a scaling area people are talking about? Is this the zone that you really want to get attached to? I think it's tough because if it was breaking through, so let's say it did this, then yeah, probably around here, you would be saying from an education standpoint, that is a technical breakout. Because what's happened then is there's no ambiguity to the breakout. You've got a downward trend, you've got a new high, you've broken through, you've gotten through the wick, and on top of that, everything seems to be doing quite well. But when you consider the close and where we're probably going to close, I bet you we close right around here. It makes sense. It's exactly where you would expect it to do so, not giving you strong confirmation that it's over, that the market couldn't sell off. Right there. What do you guys think about the bulls and the bears? People are bull, bear, bull, neutral, bull. Mostly bull. I'd say about 70% of you are bull. Let's have some good news. Tom, says Ginny. Fair enough, Ginny. Yeah, we want good news. Well, good news is it's up. Good news is it's up and it's doing the right thing. Let's move over here to the Nasdaq now. We'll use the QQQ code. A lot of you like that code. Bit weaker market. Not as strong as the other one. S&P 500 definitely looking better overall. And it's at a roll reversal area. So if we go to the 1 hour, you'll notice previous support, resistance. So really the market is closing kind of at resistance today, is how I'd look at it. Are there positive signs? The answer is yes. Has it done enough? For some people, they will be looking at, buying those bottoms like they may have done on Friday. They're excited for here, but day traders would often be taking profit here and then looking for that breakout to the next session. So I do think the Nasdaq presents as well. And a lot of that comes down to the 4 hour. Look at the head and shoulders. I mean, it's still in play. Bears will still be excited. Are they worried? Not yet. When the bears freak out is when you get through here. When you get through that moving average fest that's just sitting around here. So what is this price? Around 390. that's when you've got to think, okay, it's all over, and the bulls have got back control. Because the bears have to keep pushing down. Every time it rallies, they've got to push that down. If they let it get out and go back, then we've seen what happens to that. Let's have a look at the left-hand side. Here it is. Here's the lightning bolt that happened last time. And at that point, obviously on the channel, you guys all went bullish. We saw the writing on the wall and we had to reverse. And it's kind of a similar situation should you get through these types of movements. Here's an interesting comment from Gary. It says consumer defensive and utilities, he means, are being bought as well. So seems fishy, still bullish. Yeah. So let's have a look at some other things that are going on. We'll check out IWM. IWM hasn't broken through, but boy, oh boy, is this probably one of the cleaner charts. So it's done the first thing. It's actually gotten through the 2-hour 20. 2-hour 20 has held this market back the whole way down. And now we're just waiting for it to get through that double bottom. You can see the right on resistance here, 220. I mean, it's pretty exciting stuff if you haven't already been stuck in it, because these are the types of things where you look at it and you go, that makes some sense. I like that chart. And if it does break out, am I excited by it? Well, possibly. I mean, that's the type of thing you look for in accumulation. That's the type of thing you look for in base formations on any type of chart, really. I mean, if you're getting inverse head and shoulders, double bottoms coming from a downtrend accumulation and it starts moving up, that's a positive sign for sure. That's the way we look at it from a technical perspective. You'll notice the US 30 is doing the best, and I think that's due to the sectors that are running here. Let me just bring up the sectors that are actually doing well into the close. Bring that up for you guys now. Let's have a look at them live. Okay, so these are the ones that are doing the best. Make sure I refresh that. Fairly clean across the board. So we have here FO, so water. We've got industrials. We've got consumer staples doing well again. Utilities not that well, 1.49, but that has been 2 days now of utilities. So if we look at the 5-day, this is what I like to do. Get a bit of an idea whether Wall Street was pushing that defensive idea. And you'll notice, look at the two that are doing the best over the 5-day. Utilities, consumer staples doing the best over that period. So they've really come through with very strong gain in the last couple of sessions. And that's what people are saying is fishy, as it doesn't make that much sense. Like, why are utilities and consumer staples doing so well when they haven't been really the focus for a long time now? Like, if you look at year to date, you'll notice energy, financials, real estate, technology. Where's our consumer staples and utilities? They're some of the worst performers. I mean, look at that on a line chart, terrible. Started to break through a little bit, but certainly nowhere near as good as it was. Tech making a little comeback finally. Yeah, tech's doing okay. So let's go through some of these stocks. US 10-year certainly did rise up here, 6.17%. It looks like a big deal percentage-wise, but I think really what this is a switch of bonds. And then on top of switching the bonds, what we're seeing, of course, go on as well is that this utility, this US 10-year is quite low compared to where it has been. Now, this is really my gauge on whether the inflation story is super concerning or not. If this is getting out of control, then we expect, very big action from the Fed. And when it's coming down here and sitting around this level, I'm not that worried about it. This is, of course, the 10-year expected interest rate. I do expect it to go up quite a lot from here over time, but 1.42 is still quite low. 20-year bonds, 1.52, testing previous resistance. So it broke out. And remember, if it breaks back down and comes in, that was a false breakout. That will be a positive for the markets, as in the stock markets. Because what it's really showing you is that, yes, everyone fled to defensives, but then they tricked you and they're moving it back down. It closes right on the pivotal area. So you can see the closes are all symbiotic together. The US 500 is trading right around that area that you expect it to. The US 100 is trading very similar. IWM certainly trading on the zone. and TLT, the 20-year bonds, have come back down to the role reversal. VIX as well, still high, but much lower than it was, trading around 27. For a lot of swing traders, they'll want it to be underneath 20 for that thing to really calm down before they start looking at the market more technically on the larger timeframes. We've talked about why that is quite a few times here. But yeah, this is coming back down again. That's a positive towards the bull side, but we'll have to see whether we get another green session to really confirm that the market is probably seeing its lowest point into the end of the year. We would hope. We would hope. US oil, another one that's quite strong. Let's have a look at this on the 2-hour. Talked with the private community about this and how I like the look of this one. This is pretty good base. So we have here 2 support levels, basically a max pain. And can anyone tell me what they might think this pattern is? Not that it matters so much. Thomas Otto says, Tom, could you ever look at Twitter? Yeah, we'll be doing Twitter. It's all good. We'll be looking at quite a few of these stocks. So we'll do Twitter, we'll do AMD, we'll do Disney, do all the ones you guys like. VIX on the 1 hour still looks like it's trending upwards. So we'll check that out maybe, John. But really, I don't look too much at the technicals for the VIX because the problem with the VIX is it will trade based on the S&P 500 and what it's doing. Now, if the S&P 500 turns and sells off, what's going to happen? The VIX will rise. But what will the VIX not do this time around? It won't rise to the same high that it previously rose to. And the reason why is we're not making a new low. So if you've already done something the market expects, it usually won't freak out. Now, if the market fell underneath the 4,500, would the VIX rise to potentially all-time highs? I mean, recent all-time highs? The answer is probably yes. It would freak out. It'd be like, whoa, this is an unknown level. What's the ticker for oil? US oil here. That's correct, Eli. We've gone back down, tested the support. IWM's at probably one of the biggest areas. So a lot of people would call this, some people would call it just accumulation. Some people would literally try to stretch it out to be an inverse head and shoulders. It doesn't matter whatever pattern you call it. Remember, get away from the pattern so much and think about what the market's telling you. We've tested the low. We've tested a lower low, as in we've gone to this maximum kind of freak out stage and we've come up. And what's become abundantly clear is that OPEC is trying everything it can to make sure that oil price stays relatively high. So while you've got maybe the US government and other things saying, whoa, we want this oil price down, guys. They're saying, no, we want the oil price up. And really, who kind of wins there? Well, it seems to be OPEC in general. They do tend to have a pretty good run on what they do with oil price, fairly manipulated. So relatively big closure here. We'll be watching that one quite closely. If you go to the daily, what you'll notice is the daily 200s there. So what we really need is, this is like one of those scale things. You've got rejections. So you have these rejection candles, which is important to close above. We'll close in 1 hour 12 on this. And I would love to see it above the 200 as well. It's a good base. And of course, we've been pretty accurate together on oil. So we'll have to find out how it all works out. Long leg doji on the weekly. But this is our interesting zone. And things are starting to look a little bit better. So Tesla's trading around 1,000. It dropped underneath there for a little bit. As long as it holds above 1,000, it should be okay for it. You'll notice here you have the support. The support, you've got a new low that's formed over here, but it hasn't closed underneath that. So this daily, if we take a look at it, is like a bullish hammer right now. It needs to hold up. So we've got 13 minutes till the close. You'd have to hope that Tesla holds up. And if it does, day traders will be looking for a breakout of that high. And it could go quite nicely. So this is exactly where you want it. Now for bears, what you're looking for is, of course, a closure underneath this zone. You've seen how the market reacts to it. A closure under here, all of a sudden you expose $900. And it's really what we've been talking about with Tesla for a while. When it went on its epic run, it tends to consolidate after the epic run. Epic run, consolidation. Epic run, consolidation. Epic run, consolidation. Epic run, consolidation. So when that run happens, you've got to read, what has this told us about the market? Well, it said be careful of the epic run. It's glorious when you see it. We spotted it together. We were pretty confident in it here. We were super confident in it here, and it went ballistic. It even beat our expectations how far it went. But when we saw that sign, that weakness, followed by what some people would call a dead cat bounce, this is when you start to say, okay, let's day trade, let's scalp, and investors will look for their investment levels. That's really all you can do because you know that it's in consolidation. So a few of you are mentioning that the market is selling off a little bit here near the close. Again, it's expected. It's expected. Look at the QQQ staying underneath that daily 50. This is definitely the weakest market right now. It actually is the weakest looking one. Now you can tell in the price action, and we've said that ever since we've closed underneath here. Doesn't mean it's bad, it's just the weakest. 2 hour, yep. So it's really testing out exactly where we want it to close. That's all okay. That's okay. All right, you've got some other requests here for stocks and things. We'll just quickly do gold. So gold is literally doing nothing. Basically a negligible day. Didn't do anything at all. We come back to this later. It's just not even worth really assessing right now. It's just sitting right exactly where you would hope the bulls get back control of it. You're looking for a breakout above here for the bulls. But really, it comes down to the 1810. Kunal says Tesla's going to be a sleeper for the next 6 months. Certainly could be. A few people yelling at the QQ. The QQQ. Gary A says, stay up there, QQQ. You're not allowed down? The hell? Does not want that to go anywhere. What's going on with NEO? Well, it's what's going on with Chinese stocks, probably. Most of these Chinese stocks are unfortunately kind of, getting flogged around each way. So you see here that the Baba is up 10%. Now, a few people are going to say, is this the end? Is this the end of the downtrend? Are we seeing the recovery? And you would think it's counterintuitive. Obviously, the CFO resigns and then the stock goes up. In the US, you lose the CFO, the stock will go down in general action. But because it's so beaten down, and maybe the market's taking this as a restructure, which is positive because then the government will maybe start to lay off them. Maybe they're starting to fix their turnaround story. I'm not convinced by Baba yet, especially in the wake of the Diddy situation. So yes, it's up. But if you'd been buying the falling knife the whole way through, don't think that you've just magically found some level, because really there were a lot of levels through this. Remember, turnaround on TA is more important than anything else. If you can be looking for that, unless you're an investor and you're just buying levels to hold it for 10 years, it's going to look really cheap on paper right now, fundamentally. But as we know, there's a lot of things going down here. Thank you very much to the 700 people joining us, smashing that like button. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's very, very nice. Appreciate it. 8.71 on DKNG. Yeah, wow. That got to 27, hey? I didn't even know how low that got. Wow. Look at this. Right down to this little wiki wick. I was getting close to the SPAC close. I think most of these hypers should be up a fair bit today. These are beaten down sectors. Let's have a look through some hypers and then we'll do the rest of them. So we have DKNG, Airbnb, really, really coming back hard here. I'm actually feeling okay about Airbnb. I think that's a fairly legitimate company. And really, it does make sense that, again, I've said services and experiences should do well over the next kind of 12 months as we reopen the economies and every other economy becomes more open. I'm certainly looking at having a little bit of traveling, ideally. I'm sure many of you are. And that will lead into a lot of these stocks, I think, doing okay. PayPal, just finding the base here around 180. Let's go down to the daily. Yeah, it's good to see it kind of just floating around. It's no problem with it sitting here. It's good 4-hour action. Little wicks. Got our resistance through the top here. So we can start to trap that in a little bit here now. Looking for maybe closures above the wicks. Probably get a little bit more significance there. Let's have a look at the daily. Yeah, I think around there, 192. So we've got it trapped. Now we hope it accumulates, then it breaches, then it moves up. That's what we're looking for. All right, some other requests. Nvidia. Let's have a look at Nvidia for you guys. Nice bullish hammer. We've talked about price elasticity before. When a hot stock gets crunched because the rest of the market's going down, the hot stock tends to have an okay day on it. Now, this is 300 down, so it gapped underneath and then it's rallied right back up with bullish buys. Another bullish hammer, similar to the rest of the QQQ. So holding this 289 looks like little bullish hammer. Day traders will be waiting for it to get through these zones tomorrow in the open session. This is why you look at the close. You're planning exactly what could happen. Sometimes you get confirmations of a close above. And then the worst thing is if you don't look at the close, then you miss that gap opportunity. And all of a sudden it goes bam like that. And you're like, what? How come it did that? So the gap happens for you. Twitter, 6% up. I think Twitter is very difficult to read. I mean, you got weekly 200. It's hit the weekly 200 a few times. Do I think it's a fantastic level? Oh, I mean, it's more of an investor's level than a trader's level. Not enough information here on Twitter yet, guys. You're really just breaking down things like a 1 hour and then what are you going to say? Is this good? I guess the 1 hour 50 has held it down. You have to ignore that because it was a gap up. So 1 hour 50, 1 hour 50, 1 hour 50. Maybe something like this. Thanks very much for the donations. We've got here Jay Nibble coming in with CHF $5. Hey, Tom, hope you're well. Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. What do you think about Hubs? It broke below its trend line and is around the weekly 20 that I like to trade off. All right, let's have a look at Hubs. HubSpot. We'll do crypto a little bit later, as soon as the market closes. We've got 5 minutes till that happens. Then we'll look at the crypto, the Bitcoins, the Kasamas, the dots, everything else. Broke the weekly 20. Okay. Yep. All right. Well, I guess I'd probably say if Hub's probably what I've got here is what I think of it. I guess I've done it before. So I've got a trend line behind. Let's make sure that is correct still. Yes, that is good. So we've got a trend line behind. We've got the top trend line, which I must have drawn in here for some reason when we broke through with support. And I think it's kind of in a zone of interest. Previous resistance, kind of highlighted area that I would usually highlight in. So I draw a little rectangle. Draw the zone that I expect it to find buying pressure at, and then look for the lightning bolt turnarounds here. I don't think it overly looks negative, but it needs to hold these zones. And for a trader, you'd be looking for the turnaround. So 1 hour, no turnaround yet. Hope that makes sense, Jane. But that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not a big fan of this top trend line that much, but I had it drawn for a reason, I guess, because it went through those last 3 highs and then respected it twice. Maximum pain, false breakout low. It's why I usually stay optimistic, because being a shorter, some people would have tried to short that to here. It's valid, but see what happens. Bam, the market just slaughters you. Thank you for the donation. Eli Poloski, $5. Tom, thank you for your best objective TA on YouTube, period. Thanks very much, man. Keep up the awesome TA, Eli from the USA. Well, you are cool. Thank you very much, Eli. Appreciate that, man. Hope you're having a good time in the US. Hope you're getting ready for a good Christmas. Some of you may be celebrating a white Christmas. I've never done that. Never seen snow. You got to remember, in Australia, it's always summer in Christmas. It's backwards over here. Remember, everything's backwards in Australia. Market slightly picking up towards the end. Yeah, somewhere around this close is pretty much fine. Amazon, sure, we'll check out Amazon. Hein Christensen, knock 50. Thank you very much. Thoughts on natural gas? We'll bring that up just after the close, Hein, if that's okay. Thank you for your donation. Appreciate it. So Amazon bounced, thank goodness. And then look where it closes. How annoying. So here is the downtrend. for the trend line itself. We needed a bounce here. We wanted it above this yellow zone so that we could actually get some nice confirmation close. And typical of Amazon, it's doing its little annoyances, which is hovering around the area and closing right around the zone. We now look towards this for day traders. So they'll be going to those highs, these little resistance highs here, and looking for a session break. And then, of course, trading that up. So basically, they want to go bam, bam. And then once it gets through there, I believe there'll be a bit of a rally through the trade day. Maybe not to 3,600, but certainly this is that rally point that you're looking for. Previous resistance, resistance again, breaches, look for the follow through. Amazon doesn't look terrible, doesn't look fantastic either. I think the whole, again, it was on its, I believe it was on its way towards success. 3,900, 4,000 was one of our big positions here. I haven't lost faith in it, but it's certainly annoying where it's sitting. All right, what other stocks we got going in here? Let's just show some notables in terms of percentage gains. It looks like the hypers are finding some of the better percentages. DKNG, Airbnb, even Intel is coming back through. We'll look at that when it gets to 52. What else have we got? Net's coming down pretty hard. I can't say that's unexpected. You've got to think when a stock goes up 100% and the earnings aren't fantastic, they're pretty good, but they're not like crazy, that it comes back down. So cybersecurity really taking a pummeling here. Again, partially expected. Facebook's having a really fantastic day. 3.59. Oh, sorry, metaverse, meta platforms, whatever you want to call it. 317. Holding that zone. Still one of the deeper value FANG stocks. Value, inverted commas. I have found myself using Facebook a little bit more recently. Not really so much for the friend stuff, just more for the group thing, like the forums or whatever you want to call them. I think they've kind of, the Facebook groups have kind of killed the old forums. Anyone remember forums? They were pretty good. Kind of like a Reddit. So I guess Reddit is the new forum. But this is right around support for people that haven't been watching this one. It also looks like all these AMC, GME situations are starting to really lose their steam. GME is still holding, but AMC is just, it's not good. It's not good. No one's going to say that's a good price. Take a look at AMD. We'll do that. Close has happened. Markets closed pretty much where we expected. We'll do a quick overview of that, and then we'll do natural gas behind. AMD coming back down to 139. Okay. Daily here doesn't really show a strong turnaround story yet. Yes, you've got some wick rejection. So here's your wick rejection off the 50. It's okay. It's not fantastic. I don't know if I'd trade. But investors might say, oh, look, at least it closed here, and I think it can go back here. I prefer this area down here, should it get there. It could come down even if the rest of the market's going up. Remember that. Apple, 165 again. Strong Apple. So Apple, Amazon, two of the better FANG stocks with of course, Facebook today. All right, let's have a look at these closes. Where did we end up closing? We used the SPX. Yeah, exactly where we thought it would. Annoying. So for a recap for the 750 people out there, what we're looking for here, guys, is we're looking for it to, we close right on basically our resistance. We wanted the daily to be a little bit higher, but that's okay. Tomorrow, we're looking for it to breach this zone during the day trade and really show that it wants to continue the recovery. And then we break our downtrend. And this is starting to feel pretty good, because really what's happened is it said double bottoms in play, one low, two lows, resistance, breach on the higher time frame at that point. Some people already will have scaled in here, and some people would have bought this low due to the wicks. I don't blame them. And the weekly 20 and the 4,500, and then we move on through. Now, I do want to bring up some options here just to see whether they've moved today. Let's just bring up the options into the close. Going to manually request this. Now, a lot of people ask me, Tom, where does this options come from? Well, it comes from just the private community. You can get a 7-day free trial if you want to get access to the robot that provides it. Up to you. You don't have to, of course. All right. So here's this week. You can see that 450 strike here with the puts. So this acts as the put wall. And a lot of people will look at this one and say, okay, well, it looks like there's a lot of anything in here is pretty okay. There seems to be a lot more puts that have come into the market, which again, I look at it as counterintuitive. So to me, that's a positive in the markets in terms of base formations. I don't see it as, if this was like huge, like let's say that was like this one over here, I would see 450 as even a stronger level of support for the market. But let's look at the next week. So let's bring up the SPY. We'll bring up the 17th expiration. I discussed this with the private community yesterday. And what I said was, look at this. When we bring up the 450 strike, look how much bigger that 450 strike was. So between the 450 and the 475 price on the SPY, we have a very good availability of the market to go up into that zone. There's not that much expiration here. It would be okay for it to expire between these two areas. So it does present that more bullish opportunity for us. And when we bring up the SPY, we'll look where we are. So we're at the 458 right now. A 470, 475 actually puts us at an almost all-time high. Well, it does put us an all-time high. So you could just see how many retail traders were probably going bullish up here with options that expire in 2 weeks' time. A lot of people were buying options up here. So what does the market want to do about that? Mosey on up. Expire worthless underneath. Of course, most options, 70% of options expire worthless, and then hopefully keep recovering. So it does look bullish at this stage, but we're right at that kind of critical zone. Let's do natural gas for high now. Natural gas, and then we'll do crypto. Massive crash here in natural gas, hey? Massive crash. And again, look at the left-hand side to learn why. I've never suggested natural gas has been very good for a long time. There was sometimes areas where during the post-pandemic, we saw that 2021 nice price action and good resistance breaches here and here. But natural gas is very dangerous. And this is why it's very dangerous. It has the ability to pump and then dump. Pump and then dump, pump and then dump. And the reason? Shortages. Short-term shortages. And short-term shortages spike the price. And then when the flow comes back through, it tends to dump off. And that's exactly what's happened here. Look, with natural gas, I'm thinking around that 3.4 level. Previous resistance many, many times. But it's a falling knife right now. We look for accumulation bases. Lightning bolt, double bottom. All of these types of things. That is a huge fall off though. Let me put that in percentages so everyone can tell. Bang. Right now, 44.28% down. Wow. Yeah. Learn from the left-hand side on that one, guys. Jin says, I'm margin called on Bitcoin. Damn. Are you? Damn, that sucks, bro. Trading leverage on Bitcoin. Scary. A lot of people say Wyckoff before on the oil trade. No problem with that either. Just quickly go back. Yep, you could absolutely say Wyckoff. There's the max pain, multiple tests. Obviously, then you expect a spring here for accumulation and then move up. Yeah. What I guess I'm getting at is it doesn't matter how you slice and dice it from whatever theory that you have. It's more about the understanding of the price action. Wyckoff is a good pick as well. No problem with that. All right, let's have a look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin stabilized after that epic false that epic crash that happened through the weekend, that was certainly pretty epic. Let's have a just look at that in retrospect. So what was it? Percentage-wise, it lost 27%. Now, it's not unusual for the Bitcoin market to lose 20, 30%. But the problem with this is it's losing 20, 30% after it's already dropped. So if we think about it, this was a 40% drop from top to bottom. Now, this is becoming a little bit unusually normal. I mean, I don't remember 17 and other times having this many 40% crashes in it. With the epic crash over here, the big accumulation base, and then it ran up, which was good. I'm glad it ran up for everyone. But now we've got this epic crash again, and I believe it's probably caused by the whales. I've detailed that in the weekend video. It is starting to rally through a little bit, but let's have a look at this 2-hour. So where the important points happen? Well, we now know a resistance. We now have a bit of a support, and we just have to hope that it doesn't get back down to 41. That'll probably punish a lot of people. So we've got this resistance through pretty much just underneath 50K, and we're looking for a closure out here to then allow us to start filling back to things like 54, 55K. Look at it. The next stop's going to be about 54,000, you would think. Most logical area for it to go to. Supports, hopefully becoming resistances. Do we know it's going to happen right now? No, but do we have a significant level? I believe so. What do you guys think? Let us know in the chat. What are you thinking? PK Summit says BTC to 40K. Hope it kind of did do that. I don't really want it back down there again. 42,000. It got to 42,000. Tom, isn't it suspicious there was a spike in BTC shorts previous to this? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely said that on the weekend video. When BTC shorts spikes and these guys start to get into the short, then it is suspicious. But what I also said was we're starting to see that turnaround of the BTC shorts. And when they tend to spike it, so when they've spiked it in the past, it's spiked and then quickly dumped. Now, there was a second spike here, if you remember the timing. But in general, when it spikes and it starts to turn around, it can dump for quite some time. Spike, dump. It doesn't usually reverse that dump trend for a while, which is a positive sign towards Bitcoin, in my personal opinion only. I don't think you want to draw up this and say, oh, look, resistance, support. I don't think BTC short works like that. But certainly the spike up on the shorts shows the whales were moving money. We already know that Ethereum has in general been stronger than BTC. So if we bring up the Ethereum Btc chart, I've been talking about that for quite some time. And it continues to be so. I mean, look at the Ethereum. If you're in Ethereum and not Bitcoin at the moment, you're much happier. Look at it go. It loves life. It's like, yeah, look at us go. We're cool. Ethereum crowd is cool right now. Ethereum as the coin almost already starting to recover. And this looks a lot better. Like, check out this. Rejections, the wick, it's come back down. And again, similar to Bitcoin, we're testing those highs off. So let's have a look at the 2-hour. There it is. This is what the crypto market's looking for. We're looking for that breakout. Ethereum shows us maybe the way at the moment. Then hopefully Bitcoin follows by getting through that resistance. What do you guys think? Is that a good hypothesis? What are you thinking? Jay Nibble says, I'm 80% ETH, 20% BTC. Fair enough. Tom, do you see Square at 133? Is that an insane buy zone? Certainly is a pretty good buy zone. I think we need to see... Look, from a PS ratio, it's cheap. Okay? From the standard PS ratios and fundamentals, it's cheap. Biggest problem for Square is Jack Dorsey. I know I've had rants about him here a little bit before. He needs to open up Square to more than just Bitcoin. He needs to actually instigate that. What's he doing with Afterpay? What's he doing with Tidal? You know, these are questions that the market's probably starting to ask. He paid a lot of money. Hopefully he can get some nice... I would like to see one implemented before I'm interested in the company again. Darren Jones, $10. Tom, what percentage drop is it for March, April? 65K tops to the 28K 30. What do you mean here? So what percentage drop is it from March to April's? Oh, yeah, you want to check that out. No worries. Let me give you the percentage drop. You're looking at around 55.82%, which is an incredible drop. Like these two drops are uncharacteristic even for this market without it being just completely bearish. I mean, you look at the other drops, these are more characteristic drops of the Bitcoins, 30-ish%. Scroll back over to previous years. I mean, you do have some big drops here as well. Here's a big one that happened, of course, you know when. So there's a big 60. Drop here of 40% coming to the crash, and then a dead cat bounced. But yeah, that 20-30 is usually what you see after each other. 40-40s, ooh, nastiness. Thank you very much, Darren. You've always been a big support to the channel. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Darren. Jack Dorsey rant, says Kevin. Nah, I'm being nice at the moment. I'm not ranting. The only person I want to get is the Activision boss. Oh, Bobby. He needs to go. Get out of here, Bobby. Is he gone yet? I don't think so. Tom, back in 2017, Bitcoin dropped 40% before going on its final bull run, which I find interesting. Yes, it's interesting, but it could just be more of a coincidence than anything else, I hope, Muhammad. Look, we need it above here. Let's face it. We need it above 50K. It's pretty obvious the market's having problems getting through this zone. From people I've spoken to, it's amazing how bullish the retail crowd is on it. Now, I'm not saying that that means that it can't go down just because the retail crowd's so bullish on it, but geez, they got a little bit freaked out. I'll say that. I was around a few people that were freaked out on the weekend, and they lost some significant money for them. Lost, it's only paper. You know, obviously you haven't lost it till you sell. But they were like, you know, freaking out a little bit. And I just said, oh yeah. So what do you think? I said, I'm not going to talk to you about it. but the thing is that it breached. If it breaches this zone, you can see on the technical charts, that's what we're looking for. So the base is happening. Do we have the lightning bolt turnaround? We need it here. Right there. Kenny says, my heart hurts from my bad trading skills lately. That's not good, Kenny. If you do want to, Kenny, though, I would suggest if you want to go into stocks, you want to be less risky, more kind of, considerate everything in consideration of every single type of trade that you're looking at and why you're doing it. You might want to consider the private group mentoring I've got running on January. You would probably benefit a lot from it, like a lot of people would. It's a culmination of everything I've ever done. It's a little bit different to everything we do here on the channel. Gary Saini, $4.99. Thanks so much for the analysis and education. No worries, Gary, man. I have learned so much for you and your vids. Thanks, bro. No worries. Yeah, look, I mean, it's not rocket science, markets. I think people overcomplicate things. They forget that the markets are really just about the psychology. And I do this in the mentoring as well. I talk about this section here. So I've done this before on the charts here. So this is your psychology. This is your trading system, and this is your risk management. So someone once said to me, look, this is pretty much the most important component, this bit here. You are your own worst enemy, because personality traits, effectively the market takes advantage of all our personality traits. And we all think we're unique. And in some ways we are unique. But really, for any psychologists out there or anybody that understands the human mind, you would know there's pretty much not that many types of personality traits. And we all fit within quite a few barriers. And the market takes advantage of certain parts of that. And it's amazing when you start to understand yourself better, you will do better with it. Your trade system is only part of the piece. Risk management's a huge thing, but really in general, it's this. That's the most important. So I'm glad you're doing well there, Gary. And Mohammed says 100% TO of everything else. Yeah, TA fundamentals, nothing wrong with that either. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Brosman says PayPal and Square move the same. Since PayPal found bottom, I would say Square will not go down more. I would agree with you, Brosman, but the problem is PayPal, if you look at Square, Square has dropped considerably in the last couple of days, and PayPal kind of has been consolidating the last couple of days. So whether PayPal first, you can see here the consolidation versus Square. Square just dropped straight through the support. There is the support at 190, and it just went falling knife straight through it. And now we're in the middle of nowhere zone. So I don't disagree that it could turn around here. It's a cheap PS ratio in many ways. 150 is also a very considered level, I think, just from a psychology standpoint. But as we saw, the market finally gave us some bullish stuff today. So I'll be doing a video recapping all of that. And of course, I'll bring out my thoughts on the US 500 and thoughts on those ones. Let's look at some other cryptos, though. Let's have a look at ADA, a disappointing crypto for so many. I almost want to take it off. Do you think we should take ADA off the top right here, guys? If you say yes, then tell me what to replace it with. I'm not taking off KSM. Okay, KSM stays there. I like dabbling with the KSM. But ADA is disappointing to me. Look at it. What the hell is it doing? Hello? Hello, ADA? Where is your team? Where are all the fan people? There were so many fan people over here. The fangirls, the fanboys, they were lining up to purchase the greatest Ethereum coin ever since Ethereum. And now I feel like the community is gone. Even the XRP community is bigger here than ADA community. Does anyone even like this coin anymore? Look, we do have some rejections, which is decent. At least we have that. Need to get above 150 again to show strength for this coin. Very disappointing. Let's have a look at the Polkadot because it's fallen off significantly. Check out this. So look at this daily. You guys are getting September discount. Resistance. Obviously, we saw what happened. This was the day I was like, oh, wow. There's a recording of me just couldn't even say anything when it fell this much during the stream. I was certainly gobsmacked on that one. That was a big fall. Let me just put that in perspective of how big a fall that was in a few hours. 72%. Oh, it's pretty bad. The crypto market's not for everyone. So we have resistance, support, and we've got some buying wicks around this area. We go down to the 2 hour. People want Solana. And what I kind of like about the 2 hour so far is that we're starting to potentially see some form of recovery being built. So I would like to have like this breaches. That would be nice. Or even just a breach straight through, retest, bang. That'd be pretty cool as well. Hopefully we form base on the dots around this area. Matthew Harris, $5. Thank you. Have you read any market trading psychology books? What do you think is good? Van Tharp's book. Boring, but good. Van Tharp. That's where I'd probably say Matthew Harris. And when I say boring, they're a dry read. Most finance books are, unless they're trivial. It's all theories and things like that you really need to get into. But I would probably go with this one. Terry M says speechless. I was speechless. That's right. When dot falls, it falls hard. When dot falls, I go speechless. When it falls 70%. Many TA analysts use the term they, as in they wanted the index lower, but who really is they? Who's tricking the traders? Oh, yeah, that it's just a word. Look, basically, everyone conspiracies the idea that Wall Street would be they, or the bigger traders would be they, or the whales or something. It's just a concept. In essence, we know there's manipulation in the markets. So really all you're doing is when you say they, you're blaming manipulation of the large holders, the bag holders. So in Bitcoin, for example, look, it's pretty much it's obvious that Bitcoin is unregulated. Therefore, who has the biggest power in Bitcoin? The whale traders. Do they probably have private groups where they all chat to each other? The answer is yes. Have they been shown to add to their short positions on certain indices? I mean, certain brokers over time? The answer is also yes. And do they control the market to a degree? I would say yes. On the stock market, you'd be blaming, of course, Wall Street, but really it's just the attack on human psychology. You guys loving on Matic? Tom, you were in shock then? Yeah, it takes a lot to get me to get me feeling bad about the markets. The only other ones I could think of were I told you right then that I won't forget it. I told you then and there. This is another one that I remember well. People forget. Euro Swiss really got flogged recently, didn't it? This one here. Oh, that's the worst I've seen. That one was gnarly. Look at that. No. It may only look like 20% to you, but I can tell you the price went to 46 cents. And then they repriced it on the brokers. 46 cents. That's the biggest flash I've ever seen. I was around for the Japanese, obviously the disaster that happened back in, was it 11 or 12? The Greek crisis, obviously the GFC, but that is one of the biggest flashes I've ever seen. Polymatic has essentially ignored the rest of the market for a while, and it's an interesting one. Okay, well, goodbye ADA, you're gone. The people have spoken. They want Matic. Sorry about that, ADA, I'm sorry. Well, Solana generally has also kind of ignored the market here. Yeah, that certainly has ignored everything. Look at it go. For quite some time. It's actually got a decent price action on it too. Like a really nice upward trend, trying to breach this high. How's it reacted when it breaches? Pretty aggressively. Very interesting. See that nice bullish pressure that's coming through here. So Matic, yeah, resistance coming up. And then if it breaches, could be significant. Tom, is there any impact on BTC and ETH listed in the futures markets? Yeah, I think it's important when you have futures markets for the coins. When you say impact, I think it's initially strong, but it does open itself to more manipulation again. Tom, is there still a strong path forward for the crypto in the next year? Look, my biggest concern would always be around Chinese New Year. There's been pretty big consistency there. But yeah, I think, look, we're going into a market here that's being in some ways regulated. So the great thing about the market moving forward in crypto, and a lot of people have fights with me about this, they say regulation is shocking. But I think the reality is that if the market isn't regulated, then they'll ban it across the board. And if you ban, because they want their little tax, okay? They want tax, guys. You can't stop them. So if you ban it across the board, is that worse? Regulation will also allow big funds to then start investing into the asset class, which we're already starting to see, and then they'll use it as part of the alternatives. And they might say, okay, usually we put 4% in gold as an alternative. Let's now put 1% of that into crypto markets. Is that overall a positive towards crypto markets? My answer would be yes. I think people will need to realize, though, other than smaller coins, once you start to get this regulation, what will happen? The market matures, and you won't have 7,000% and 700% per annum anymore. It'll be a slower kind of growth. Still very good, but slower growth, and that's what always happens when markets mature. But I don't see regulation as horrible. I see it as allowing more money flow in. Please, Solana. Yeah, we'll do Solana. I know you guys love Solana too. Solana. Another relatively strong coin out of the gates. Came down to what, 150 was it? And then it went back up. This coin though, I think has sideways for quite some time. So all of that gain that it had over here when everyone was loving it so much, it's still good. It's still finding that support, but notice how you don't really want to closure under here. So what price is this? This is around that 185. So we've got support, bit of wick purchasing. Like all these other coins, we need Bitcoin to show us the way. Get through that 46 and a bit, 49.6 something, whatever it is, up to the 50. And then these should turn around as well. Let's have a look at the smaller time frame for you. 1 hour. Another one similar to DOT. Downward trend a little bit here. It's coiling. It's getting ready. Come on now. We just need to breach. Breach this, breach that, move forward. That's the way we want to look at it. Gareth says, finally went through the KYC on Binance. It's not that hard, Gareth. I've done the KYC. It's not that bad. Put up Solana. Yeah, we've got the Solana here. I visualize Tom in a rocking chair now. I remember back in 1929, my pipe fell out of my mouth when the ticker pooped its pants. Okay. Kevin, I won't be, I'll probably be talking about the Euro Swiss still. It's true. But all of you will. Look, this is the fun of trading. It's the fun of having a community. It's the fun of talking in general about trading. It's kind of boring otherwise. You got to remember your times. The good times, the bad times, at least you've got some stories then to tell. If you don't have stories, what are you going to do? Now, I did say I'd do this stock, so I better do it now. Do I see Disney turning around? Well, it's way stronger than the rest of the market at this stage. It's based on the 1 hour. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hour also looking a little bit better here. Let's go to the daily. Yes. And then the weekly, just to get a perspective. So it's in our buy zone. It certainly has started turning around. And I mentioned this again in our Hangout, the private community. The one thing that I was talking about here was this little resistance breach. And I guess it's happened. This is a decent amount of accumulation. It's more of an investor's level than a trader's level, but it's certainly looking a lot better than it was after the fall. So all of that severe downward channeling has now finished. It's looking more bullish. And of course, now people will be looking for it to fill the gap. But Mark, this is a very important area. 169 will be scary on the bull side. So if you're bulling up, you better watch that 169 area. Do I see it turning around? Yes, I do. Check one more thing here. Just interested to see where it went to. The DocuSign rallied 6.51%. I might dislike this stock, but that's a big fall. I'll check that back a few weeks. Kevin says Disney hit its pivot level, so it's probably a monthly pivot. That looks good to me. Me likey, he says. Okay, AB, we'll do CRO coin for you. That's not enough. Who's got the most data back? Not Coinbase. Qcoin? This coin's going to be incredibly difficult for you to TA correctly if it doesn't have, I don't know how much history it has. The reason I say you shouldn't TA it that much is it's probably based around news and events. Not everything is TAable. Remember, TA works on the idea that the past history gives us a bit of an indication about what's going to happen in the future. Obviously, it's not proofing it. It just gives us an indication. And we're not necessarily seeing that here. Oh, this coin is really difficult to analyze. What can I do? I say, oh, okay, you found some support here. Sure. Is that good enough? No. If it comes up, then goes down, then breaches through here and does something like that, then yeah, I'll say, okay, cool, great base. 60 cents is probably the zone you're hoping for it to break. Wait, what happened, Michael? What's this? Can't believe so the Staples Center was bought. It's called the LA Laker coin now. Is that serious? And Double H wants T-Doc. Let's take a look at T-Doc. Nothing yet for this one. Still looks relatively declining. We've seen turnarounds TA wise on this, and then the earnings, and then it just busted straight low. This is, I wouldn't trade. I would only look if you like it investment wise. Sure, it's got potential. It's cheap on the PS ratios, cheap on a lot of metrics. Previous highs. Other than that, can't say much. Did I talk about Apple? I did, but it's just at 165. There's not much really to discuss at this point. So if you're looking at Apple here, you're just basically saying, okay, well, where are we? We're at the resistance. We're more interested in what the market indices are doing. And those indices are starting to turn around right where you want them to. We look for a breach of this. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to 600, 800, whatever we had people here throughout the stream. Thanks for the likes and your comments and feedback. Always does help us. And I'll see you tomorrow for another closed stream. And of course, we'll have our video out in a few hours now to talk about all these market shenanigans, what's going on, and really just get a bit of an idea of what's moving. I might do it after we see Bitcoin's close. I want to see if we can get through 49.6 plus. Catch everybody. Thank you so much. Best community out there. Thanks to you guys. Bye for now.